Welcome one, welcome all to GSRC. It is time once more for 4 Drink Fridays. This is the fourth of the series that we are broadcasting this year, and this is going to be quite an interesting one. We are racing the NASCAR trucks at Road Atlanta Short. It's going to be an interesting event format as always. 4 drinks across the course of a 40-minute race. I am Reese Gardner. Joining me in the commentary box is Cameron Dance. Hello, everybody. And behind the scenes is our director, Zach Johnson. He's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Of course, we are racing at the beautiful Road Atlanta circuit tonight, running the short layout. This track has plenty of history and a lovely layout. Let's learn more about it with the track guide. Apologies for the slight technical issues, everybody. We do not have a track guide, but what we can tell you is that Road Atlanta has been around since 1970. It was built in just a few short months, and it certainly is a fantastic track, Cam. We are running the short layout, which means we don't have the full back straight to run, but it's still going to be a difficult layout to negotiate in these NASCAR trucks.
Yeah, absolutely. You've got all this horsepower, not a lot of grip, and you've got all these tight and twisty sections and elevation changes that really are going to make things quite difficult to get around here. So it'll be really, really fascinating to see how this goes and what sort of challenges these drivers are going to face. But it's definitely not going to be easy with the fact you've got to get down 4 drinks as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go through the event format in detail here. You have to drink 4 12-ounce beverages over the course of a 40-minute race. It's fixed setups, so it's all down to the driver. And if you're not drinking, you're a designated driver. That means you have to take 4 stop and go penalties in the pit lane. And we will say there is a little bit of a difference for Matthew Hollander. He is running with his high school best friend Nathan Woodward. Woody is going to be taking the start and the 3rd stint. He doesn't drink, but he will be slamming non-alcoholic beers while Matt picks up the alcohol on the 2nd stint and the final stint. So this will certainly be interesting to see if Hollander and Woody can come away with victory here. Matthew Hollander, I believe, currently in the car, but I can't be 100% sure on that. At the moment, in qualifying, it's Pat LaBrosse who is on pole position, 59.658. And it's unclear, Cam, just how many drinks down these guys are already, but I would say that inebriation is practically guaranteed.
Yeah, 100%, especially if some of these guys are lightweights too. So it's not going to be a surprise if some of them have already gone down 1 or 2. But the fact you've got to add 4 on top of that, it's going to be fascinating to see how that ends.
Yeah, it certainly is. I know that you're a fan of Spates being a Kiwi, Cam. For me, it's a bit of a toss-up, really. I was absolutely enamored to find out that Solo, which is a lemon soft drink beverage here in Australia and potentially New Zealand as well, brought out an alcoholic variant some time ago, and I've really been enjoying that lately. But otherwise, it's a toss-up between beer and whiskey for me. Scotch, Irish, doesn't really matter. It's certainly nice to be able to kick back a little bit in a sim racing sense there.
Yeah, absolutely, and it takes a bit of pressure off the fact that you're not doing anything serious as well, with the fact you've got this ability to chug down a few beers and then carry on racing. It almost brings a sort of a relaxed feel and also a bit of a friendly feel as well, with the fact there's no sort of stress around that sort of thing. So you've just got to sort of have a bit of fun, go driving, drink a few drinks and continue on.
Yeah, exactly right. Just under 8 minutes remaining in the qualifying session, and there's certainly quite a few chances left to do a lap, as that is an unfortunate spin there for John Nobinger, who's currently 3rd on the road right now, 1 minute 1.7. We got quite a field spread here, Cam. It's just under 9 seconds at the moment between Labrosse and Haase at the back of the field. Henk Donk is currently in the server, but he has yet to set a lap time. Regardless, it's certainly not going to be a factor, outright pace, I don't think, because we've had some surprises in previous rounds. Drivers that we haven't expected to win certainly have. I think, excuse me, these drivers have quite a bit of room around this circuit. I recall the last 4 Drink Friday event, which was the Nissan GTP at the Chicago Street Circuit. There were certainly a lot of crashes there, but these guys have a little bit more acreage to run into if they make a mistake.
Yeah, you don't have concrete walls either side of the white, or I should say yellow lines around here. But yeah, it's going to be a little bit easier to make a mistake and get away with it rather than ending up in a concrete wall. But I think the bigger challenge, like you said, is pace is not going to be the factor that's going to win the race here. It's actually going to be how quick you can down the drink, because a 12-ounce drink is not exactly small, so you've got to try and smash that out as quick as you can because of the fact you've stopped for so long. So if you're going to take your time drinking your drinks, then it's going to be a bit of a challenge getting to the end of the race quickly.
Oh yeah, that it is. And I mean, you know, absolutely slamming a can is certainly going to have some immediate effect as you try to get back up to speed. You'll probably be dealing with a bit of gas, who knows. And this track, already tough enough as it is. You mentioned a bit earlier that there's not much grip in these NASCAR trucks. You really have to muscle these things around the track if you want to have a good time. But there's so many long flowing corners here, and these cars understeer like nothing else, and it's going to be tough to make your way around here, especially here at 10A and 10B. AJ Roper demonstrating it at the moment. Got to try and get on the power nice and smoothly, and there's likely going to be lots of wheel spin over the hill as he's just demonstrated. And I think he's taking this opportunity to practice the pit lane, because remember, he's a designated driver. He'll have to visit the pit lane 4 times in this race.
Yeah, and that pit entry is not exactly easy either. You've got to get it pulled up before you get to that line, and if you don't, then you're possibly going to find yourself in either the concrete wall or the other concrete wall. So you've got to be making sure that, and because these things don't actually really stop very quick either, you're actually having to brake very, very early before you even get over the rise just about. So yeah, he's going to have some challenges there, and making sure that he doesn't get rear-ended as well on the way into the pit lane. But yeah, it will be fascinating to see how well he can do those pit stops, and whether it's actually going to be much of a disadvantage or not.
Yeah, exactly. It's something that we haven't really considered, is the pit lane delta around here. It's entirely possible that AJ Roper will lose out quite a bit more than other drivers who have the freedom to stop on track. But also, someone else who's going to be facing the same issue is Matthew Hollander, driving with his friend. They're going to be doing swaps in the pit lane. So with 2 drivers sharing the one truck, the number 69, that's going to be an interesting matchup with the number 17 of AJ Roper. Hollander himself is coming down to 10A and 10B, and I get the feeling that Woody might be the one at the wheel here at the moment. Remember, Woody's going to be driving stints 1 and 3, and it's going to be Hollander taking over for the second stint and the finish. So let's see what the time is on this occasion. Looks to me like 1:13.1. So I get the feeling it is Woody who's at the wheel there. 3.5 minutes to go. Get as much track time in as you possibly can. Get your practice in, and we'll see how things go. Bit of close running here between Henk Donk and Luke Patrick coming onto the start-finish straight, and neither of them setting laps quite up to their standard of speed. Henk, I think, having a couple of issues getting his car to the apex there.
Yeah, just a bit of understeer there, frankly, and possibly a little bit of contact, I think there was as well. But yeah, not quite close enough to the apex. Did a bit of a hunting there, but managed to get through the corner at least. Didn't throw it off the road, so that's something.
Yeah, certainly is. Oh dear. across the shortcut to take us onto the back straight. This is a not often used piece of racetrack, and you can see in the color difference there as well. Not only is it much dirtier, it's also a lot bumpier as well. So that's one of the places I think drivers are going to be really struggling for grip.
Yeah, it's one of those layouts, and it's actually a layout that I don't think many people actually drive generally anyway, so it is going to catch them out quite a bit, and making sure they're aware of those bumps and making sure they're aware of those grip differences as well is really going to be key to making sure you can get onto the power nicely and not spin the wheels up too much, or understeer off the road for that matter.
Indeed. AJ Roper just improved his time there in the orange truck down to a 59.846, only 0.2 off Pat Labrosse. So that's a good improvement for him. He did face a little bit of traffic on that run as well, so he could potentially be even faster. He's not going to have much time to work that out, though. This is a single race format in the service, so after the clock hits 0, if you're on a lap, you can finish it, as far as I'm aware. But AJ needs to have, number 1, a clear track, and number 2, avoid off tracks. And I think he might have already picked one up at turn 3. We'll have to wait and see. Keeping an eye as well on the Ford F-150 of Dustin Heindel, who's only just jumped into the server. No time on the board for him, and I don't think he's going to be able to get a time on the board driving like that. He's still getting used to the car, evidently. That's going to be one heck of a slowdown to deal with.
Yeah, slowdowns here are pretty brutal, and especially with the fact that it's, oh, that's a big wobble to the grass, manages to keep it out of the wall. But yeah, the slowdowns here are pretty brutal, so you've got to keep that in mind as well, and probably not a silly strategy as well, as that if you do end up getting one from throwing it off the road, it's probably actually not a bad idea, or even mistake from spinning or something like that. It's probably not a bad idea to then take your drink, because you're going to then cost yourself the least amount of time. So
yeah, exactly right. Okay, it looks like we're in the expression session phase now, as AJ Roper absolutely drifting it through the shortcut and to the end of the lap now. I don't think he's going to be able to make it to the line in time to get one more lap in, so it's just a case of trying to find the limits of the car and try and stick to them during the race. To the start-finish line. He does cross the line with 5 seconds on the clock, so time is rapidly running to a close here to see who can get pole position for this round of 4 Drink Friday at Road Atlanta. Henk Donk across the line does not set a representative time. Heindel drifting across the line again, no time for him, as Roper is making his way down through the S's here and is looking supremely in control of the number 17 Chevrolet Silverado. Let's see what the run is like coming on to the back straight. Oh, there's a bit of understeer there. He slowed down, and I think that's the end of the lap there for AJ Roper. That is the end of his qualifying session. All we got to do is wait now for Henk to see if he can get a time on the board that he is happy with, but it looks like he is already finished. We also have yet another driver joining the server at the last possible moment, Dylan Scott in truck number 13. So we're going to have a pretty solid field for this. So just a few more moments left and we can call time on this qualifying session. Henk Donk gets a little bit more of a feel for his truck, and that is the very end of it. Henk did not improve by a huge margin there, still 2 seconds off the next truck ahead, Zach Taylor. With all of that said and done, let's go through the grid for Drink Friday here at Road Atlanta. Pat Labrosse starts on pole position. He's joined on the front row by AJ Roper, the designated driver. Then we got John Nobinger and Stephen Smalley on row 2. Corey Godwin and the pair of Matthew Hollander and Woody starting in 6th place there. Kip Mitchell and Luke Patrick 7th and 8th, with Zach Taylor and Henk Donk rounding out the top 10. And then we have Larry Haase and Dylan Scott starting 11th and 12th, with Dustin Heindel taking the 13th and final spot on the grid. Now, as the drivers file onto this grid, Cam, one of the things that we have noticed in a few 4 Drink Fridays so far is that a lot of drivers will take their first drink at the start. So you might see quite a few of the trucks here not get away when the lights go out.
Yeah, I do remember that did happen previously, so it's going to be no surprise if that does actually happen. It doesn't actually surprise me if it's going to happen. Most of it's going to happen very, very early on, just so you can get them out of the way and then concentrate on driving for the rest of the race. So I would not be surprised if we maybe see a few cars sit here once the lights go green and chug a beer, or maybe even two. Maybe three, maybe all four if they're brave enough. But yeah, it wouldn't surprise me at all to get it out of the way when you can lose the least amount of possible time and then just focus on driving for the rest of the race.
Yeah, exactly right. Well, I don't know how many drivers will be brave enough to slam all four of their drinks at once, but it'll certainly make for a good game of the tortoise and the hare. It'll be quite the interesting race here, as it has always been in 4 Drink Fridays. Time is hitting 0, and we get ready for the revs to rise, for some of our trucks anyway. The green flag flies, and it looks like we have 6 trucks getting going here, or actually just 5. Zach Taylor immediately stopping. It looks to me like Corey Godwin has gotten his first drink in, but a quick getaway from AJ Roper, John Nobinger, Larry Haase, Kip Mitchell, and Dylan Scott, who immediately spins coming out of the first turn. Oh, there we go. Stopping there for AJ Roper. Actually, he's labelled as a designated driver, but he's just said he's drinking. So I get the feeling we won't have any designated drivers here apart from Woody.
Yeah, so it looks like it's going to be the case. So it's going to end up being Woody who's going to be the one that's the designated driver rather than the other way around.
Yeah, indeed. Well, now we get down to business. AJ catching up here to Dustin Heindel, who goes wide and lets him through at the shortcut. He's struggling to maintain control of the Ford F-150 there. Matthew Hollander and Woody, who is at the wheel at the moment, briefly at the head of that pack, but immediately getting overtaken by Heindel and Donk on the way into the final turn. That's another spin there for Dylan Scott, unfortunately. And towards the end of the first lap we come, and currently leading the way is John Nobinger, and currently with a 2-second lead over Kip Mitchell, but John immediately stopping there to take his first drink of the night.
Yeah, not a silly play there to complete 1 lap and then take your first beer. He had actually a nice little gap there of 3 seconds, so he's not going to lose too much here. He's going to end up rejoining just behind Dustin Heindel and Henk Donk. So not all the way at the back of the field, but still within reach.
Yep, still within reach indeed. Here we go then, towards the end of lap 2. Corey Godwin up ahead of this pack of Larry Haase and Stephen Smalley. And Smalley getting up the inside, coming over the hill, makes up the position coming into the final turn. It's a 40-minute race, laps running about a minute in length, so I would expect 39 to 40 laps completed as our leader has spun. Kip Mitchell going for a spin out of turn 1, and it looks like he has taken that opportunity to take his first drink of the night.
Yes, already quite a few drivers having their first drink very early on, like we thought they were going to end up having. So not silly plays, and everybody seems to have a fair idea of what the best strategy is. But the next question is going to be, when does the second one hit? Do you do it now or do you do it later?
Yeah, that's it. Do you drive hard and build up a gap before you get your next drink in, or do you get it all out of the way now and hope that the inebriation doesn't take over for a bit and you can try and make up that time later? That is the big question of this league. The number 12 of Dustin Heindel making up a little bit of extra time now on Henk Donk. It looks like he's gotten his handling issues sorted out, as Pat Labrosse goes fastest of anyone in the race at the moment, still in the lead in the Sharpie liveried Toyota Tundra. Look at the slides there that Dustin Heindel is going through on the exit of the final turn. He's driving hard.
Yeah, he's definitely driving very, very hard to be slowing that truck around like he is. And they do have to be a little bit careful around that because you don't want to be burning up your tyres too quickly, especially with how quick they drop off as you drive further and further into a stint. So got to be a little bit careful. They don't want to be driving it too sideways, but at the same time, you don't want to be consuming them too much, as that's another slide from there.
Whoa.
Managed to barely hold on to it, but manages to keep it pointing in the right direction at least.
Yeah, and it's a difficult part of the circuit to have that happen. You got to ride the curbs here at Road Atlanta. Oh, has he gone a bit too hard in there? No, he's managed to hold on nicely to the truck there. And Henk behind him is starting to slide around a little bit more as well. Regardless, we are about 5 minutes into this race. Oh dear, that's a bit too late on the brakes for 10A and 10B. And, well, he'll definitely take that slowdown and come to a complete stop to have his first drink. So Heindel adds himself to the list there. Actually looks like Zach Taylor has taken 2 drinks from what I can see in his in-sim text chat. So we already have one driver rapidly approaching the inebriation level that is expected of this league.
And we're just over 5 minutes into the race as well, so he's down those 2 pretty quick, and he'll keep pushing on to see how much further into this race he can go. I imagine he'd go a little bit further before he decides to delete beer number 3, but we'll see what he does as far as strategy around that.
Yeah, we shall see. John Nobinger, meanwhile, stopping for the second time. It looks like he's taken his second drink. Heindel has stopped once more, so that's going to be drink number 2 for him. Bit of a spin on the way into the shortcut, and he gets that done very quickly. Absolutely shotgunned that, and away he goes once more as Dylan Scott and Zach Taylor move on by. Oh, that's a bit of an issue there for the 13 of Scott, but manages to keep it going nicely. Pat LaBrosse is now at the point where he's about to lap Dustin Heindel, and there we go. Our first truck a lap down. Heindel goes for a slide. Meanwhile, it's a big spin for Dylan Scott. He will, well, I mean, if that doesn't demonstrate the turning circle of these things, I don't know what does.
Yeah, that don't exactly turned very well, and I think he might have hit the wall as well on that spin, but hard to tell. It was a bit of a weird spin, that one. But I'm wondering here if LaBrosse has got some sort of strategy where he can just go as far as he possibly can and then just park it up and shotgun every single beer he possibly can, because he's been the only one so far who hasn't really taken a beer yet, and he's also got a massive gap at the moment of about 13.5 seconds, so wouldn't surprise me if he goes really deep into this race and then just starts chugging all 4.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. So at the moment, from what I can see, Haase taking his first drink. So the updated numbers here, drink up from Matthew Hollander. That's going to be 1 there. So at the moment, it looks like Henk Donk is the only driver that has not taken at least 1 drink so far. Roper, Haase, Patrick, Hollander, LaBrosse, Smalley, they are on 1 drink apiece. We have 2 drinks at the moment for Corey Godwin, John Nobinger, Kip Mitchell, Zach Taylor, and Dustin Heindel. Dylan Scott and Henk Donk, from what I can see, have not taken a drink yet.
Yeah, so seems to be the strategy is get at least 1 done early and then get the next one done shortly after, so by a couple of drivers. Everybody else sort of waiting a little bit before they decide on what they want to do. I guess don't draw your hand too quickly is probably some strategy. Yeah,
I think that is a good strat. I mean, because remember, alcohol does take time to affect the body. So if you're if you save all of your drinks to the very end and you've built up a good enough gap, then you could potentially cope with that right to the finish and then fall out of your rig later. Spin for the number 10 of Luke Patrick. Matthew Hollander makes his way past, and Dustin Heindel is stopped, so I will count that as his 3rd drink, and he only has 1 more to go.
That was a pretty quick drink, I must admit. I think he might have just been slowing up there, but
Maybe, or
hard to tell.
yeah, I mean, it does say a 12-ounce beverage, but I would say that there's an allowance for shots of spirits instead of drinking a whole can of beer, for example.
You raise a good point there. That is a fair point.
So which of them are on the beers, which of them are on the whiskies or vodkas, who knows? Bit of a moment there, coming across the start-finish line for Nobinger and Haase. Looks like Stephen Smalley is completed drink 2. The number 4 making their way into the lane, Kip Mitchell. Now, Kip has already taken 2 drinks, and I don't know if he meant to go into pit lane there.
I don't think he did, based on the way he entered the pit lane.
Yeah, righto. Well then, he hasn't said in text chat that he's taken a drink, so I'm not marking that down yet. We shall see how this goes in the next half an hour. I'll tell you what, one thing I am noticing is that a lot of drivers just don't care about track limits down at the chicane. I've seen pretty much everyone go, whoa, all right, that's something I have never seen before, the bumper just falling off. Man, there's a lot of trucks having crashes out there, but you will notice that there's none with lasting damage. Damage is turned off in 4 Drink Fridays, and for very obvious reasons.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea to be obviously having damage off. You could have had fudge spears, but damage off is probably the better option, especially with the fact you've got guys flying into the wall quite quickly.
Yeah, so that's AJ Roper acting like the S's don't exist. I presume that there's no rules on track limits here. Roper still running second place at the moment. LaBrosse, meanwhile, is certainly controlling it nicely in the lead of the race, but Roper once again going across the runoff area and gets immediately cleaned up by Larry Haase, so karma got him very quickly there.
Yeah, it certainly did, and Nobinger as well, taking another drink by the looks of it. Oh, and that's a big loss for Haase there.
Absolutely. Luke Patrick on another drink too, so I will mark down as well. Nobinger, you said, drink 3. So that's Heindel and Nobinger that we have seen stop 3 times on the circuit. So they've almost got their roster completely done with less than half the race complete. It'll be interesting to see what the driving standards devolve into there.
Yeah, it'll certainly be fascinating to see what ends up happening as far as driving standards go, but I don't think there is any currently at the moment, with about 3/4 of the field, with the fact we're all been not really taking a care for track limits and just deciding to turn it all into a rallycross track.
Yeah, absolutely. This is fun. Looks like it's on for the lead meanwhile. Pat LaBrosse trying to pass AJ Roper again. Looks like AJ just used those track limits violations to catch up to LaBrosse, and now they are having a proper race. But we'll see how things stand when they come through the S's. Oh, looks like AJ Roper's keeping it within track limits. He just wants to have a race with his mate. Meanwhile, putting Henk Donk another lap down. So that's 2 laps down now for Henk, and he gets into LaBrosse, and looks like Zach Taylor has deleted another beer meanwhile, next to where Henk Donk has come to rest, and yeah, doing exactly the same thing. So that's the first drink I've seen for Henk Donk. Zach Taylor, meanwhile, that is beer deletion number 3. We've got plenty to go here. And Donk
doing a donk on the wall.
Yeah, that's a fair donk indeed. But he does get back up to speed.
Yeah, back up and going now after a beverage consumed. So he'll join back just in behind the number 8.
Yeah, well, the number 4 of Kip Mitchell is almost a lap ahead of him. LaBrosse gets back into the lead meanwhile. Looks like AJ Roper has stopped for drink number 2. And drink number 3. Okay. And actually, I see 2 beer deleted from Zach Taylor, so I'm going to call that 4. Zach Taylor is the first driver to consume all 4 beverages in this race, and it's only 15 minutes in.
It's yeah, I don't think he's going to be feeling too well in about 10 minutes time, but we'll see how he ends up driving. Quite the commitment, I must admit.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's see if that commitment works out for him. Does the influence of alcohol make him a better driver? We'll have to wait and see. Across the S's they come. That was Zach Taylor absolutely ignoring track limits there, and all of them ignoring track limits in the chicane. That's Scott, Godwin, and Roper, with Dylan Scott having a little bit of an off-track adventure on the outside of the final turn. And Godwin and Roper are battling over second place on the road. Dylan Scott is down in 9th, so a little bit of drama there in between lapping cars and the ones being lapped. Wow, they really don't care about where the track goes now, do they? This is
solid airtime.
Yeah, this is NASCAR track limit rules taken to the logical extreme, isn't it?
It really is. There's no white line rules here. It's all do what you can do so long as you stay within the confines of the racing circuit.
Indeed. The quickest lap is Luke Patrick, a 56.7, and of course I would imagine that is taking the S's completely straight. Wow, they are absolutely driving hard, aren't they? Roper still holding on to second spot. Pat LaBrosse way out in the lead at the moment. He enjoys a 26-second lead over AJ Roper. And from what I can see, LaBrosse still is only on 1 drink. So he looks like he's saving up his final 3 for the final few minutes of the race.
Yeah, he certainly is, leaving it quite late, isn't he, with the fact he's only had 1 drink so far. But at the same time, he's got quite a nice buffer of about 20 odd seconds, so he's by no means under any sort of pressure to make it happen.
No, absolutely. I think just drive smooth for the time being, and then back it up, get them all done in one shot, and hope that you have enough of a lead that you can work things out to the end. Change for position between Matthew Hollander and Stephen Smalley. It looks like they're having a very nice battle at the moment, or not. It looks like it was a spin for either or both of them. And Hollander bringing it into the pit lane. Looks like this is going to be the switch. I think it was Woody driving for the first stint, and Hollander himself is going to be taking over now. But they are losing some time there, not exactly hitting the pit speed limit. So hopefully the driver swap doesn't take too long here.
Yeah, I imagine it won't take too long at all. With the fact you're actually there, having to jump in and out of the seat to back up and get back in to do his box. See how quick he goes up. Deciding to change some tyres as well. That's not actually a silly strategy, to be honest.
Yeah, because I've commentated enough oval races in these cars that I know that the tyres do not last very long. They're only good for a few laps before you really get yourself spinning around. Corey Godwin says it's Miller time. And that is going to be his 3rd drink. We also saw extra drinks from Stephen Smalley and Larry Haase. So Haase now on 2 drinks, Stephen Smalley on 3. And now we just wait for the next move from any or all of these drivers except for Zachary Taylor, who, remember, has already consumed all 4 of his beverages. So, but he's running last 3 laps down. So he's got a lot of time to make up. He'll be hoping that it all comes together for him at the end.
Yeah, he's got about 20 odd minutes to have that happen too, and still quite a few drinks ahead of him for everybody else. So he's going to be by no means 3 laps down by the time the race is over, I think. But it's going to be a bit of a hard-pressed task to get 3 laps back on Pat Labrosse.
Yeah, it certainly is. And we know from past experience these guys can drink pretty fast. Well, Labrosse still working his way around here. From the looks of it, we have 4 cars on the lead lap at the moment. That's Labrosse, Roper, Godwin, and Nobinger at the moment. Oh, actually, no. Looking at that timing, it's 3 cars on the lead lap. Whoops-a-daisy. And Godwin is in danger of being put another lap down here by Labrosse as he drives up to the back of Kip Mitchell, who is already 1 lap down. And that's going to be 2 laps down for him. It's amazing. I've seen Labrosse get whacked a few times by cars spinning, and he doesn't seem to be affected that much by them.
No, he doesn't, but I think they're all hitting him at the wrong sort of angles as well. So it's been very, very lucky for him so far to not end up in the fence properly. But Kip Mitchell downing another one, and Luke Patrick as well downing another one. So everybody's starting to get closer and closer to those 4 drinks, and Labrosse still charging on with 1 in his system.
That he is. Well then, that looks like number 3 for Luke Patrick, and for Kip Mitchell it is also number 3. So we're rapidly approaching the point where the majority of the field has 4 drinks in the bag. I also saw a text message from Matthew Hollander saying no cuts until I'm back in. So I think what we're seeing is Hollander, who is now in the car, is trying to make up as much time as he can. We shall see as coming out of the cut section of the track goes Hollander, followed by Corey Godwin, and there's quite a bit of time between the 2 of them. Hollander 2 laps down, and well, that's going to be another lap there for Corey Godwin. Meanwhile, Labrosse still holding strong at the front of this field.
Yes, certainly is, and that's Hollander around.
That's still in Scott. No, it's not. It is Hollander.
Yes, it is.
Sorry. Yes. All right. So that's officially 2 on the board for the number 69. I could swear that it was number 13 I saw on the car, as that's a bit of a big crash there. Hank Donk spun around. That involved Nobinger, Scott, and Taylor as well. Here we are, Pat Labrosse going for his 2nd drink. Finally, after, what is that, 27 minutes or so of racing complete, and gets a whack for his troubles.
He also did number 3 as well while he was at it. So that's 3 down, 1 to go, and Roper doing his 4th one. So he's in the clear now when he gets moving. Very ideal place to park, I must admit.
Yeah, right at the apex of the first of the S's. And why not shorten your way around the track at the same time as well? So, oh dear, oh no. That's a big whack there. Dustin Heindel going into Kip Mitchell. And it looks like Mitchell is going for his 4th and final drink there. So I'm just going to mark off on my end the drivers that have taken 4 drinks. I'm counting 3. So it's Mitchell, Roper, and Taylor. So how many more will we see in the next 6 minutes? I think by 10 minutes to go, you'd want to have the majority of your drinks done.
Yeah, I have to think that is probably the best way to do it, and then you can just focus on the last few minutes of driving. But with that said, it's possibly not actually a bad idea to leave it till the second to last lap, or somewhere in the realm of those final 3 or so laps, to get your final drink in, and then you don't have to worry about driving for too long under the influence.
Very true, very true. Well, Labrosse is the one at a disadvantage here, because AJ Roper, as we can see, is showing no mercy to the track limits, and he has completed all of his drinks. Labrosse, meanwhile, he's been driving pretty cleanly, and he still has 1 drink to go. The gap between them, 7.2 seconds, and, you know, Labrosse obviously has to stop for that final drink. This is going to make things very close in the battle for the lead.
It actually is going to end up being very close, as that's another big amount of airtime for AJ Roper, getting it over the curb and on the way down the hill.
Gently does it on the way through. Now, what is the line going to be like down at the chicane? He's not braking as the number 11 spins just in front of him. Roper manages to hold on to the truck. Coming across the hill, that brings the gap down to 1.3 seconds. So AJ is certainly throwing everything to the wind in pursuit of this win.
He certainly is trying everything he possibly can, including track limit abuse, to try and catch up to Pat Labrosse, who's not too far up the road now from him. In fact, there he goes right there.
Absolutely, and into the lead as, whoa, the number 13 of Dylan Scott is keeping up with him too, but oh dear, that's some time lost there for AJ Roper with the spin ahead from John Nobinger. Also seeing that Larry Haase has just consumed his final 2 drinks, so we can add 1 more driver to the 4-drink club.
Yeah, so a couple of drivers in the clear now, and everybody else still yet to get to their 4th drink, but that can't be too far away for a lot of these guys.
Oh, this is intense. Side-by-side battle for the lead, and Labrosse trying to keep Roper behind. Remember, Roper has been the one who's been cutting the course everywhere. And Pat Labrosse still with 1 drink to go. 13.5 minutes remain in this race.
And Roper looking very, very racy at the moment, all over the back bumper of Labrosse, getting a little bit sideways as well for a good measure. Shows how much he's actually trying to push and trying to get on by Labrosse here.
Yeah, for sure. Is it going to be a move up the inside coming into 10A and 10B? Well, you can hold the outside around the first part of the chicane, which becomes the inside for the next, and Labrosse uses that to... Oh no! Nobinger going for a spin ahead. That has taken Labrosse out of the running for the lead, and he'll take this... No, he won't take this opportunity to... Or will he? It looks like he will be drinking here. Corey Godwin, meanwhile, takes drink 4. That's another one on the list. And, well, with the amount of time that Labrosse was stopped there, I think he's actually taken his final drink. But there's no confirmation of that in sim. Meanwhile, Luke Patrick takes his 4th and final drink.
Yeah, so everybody's starting to get to the point where they want to get that final drink over and out, and then continue driving for the rest of the race, with the fact there's just over 10 minutes left, or 12 minutes exactly.
Righto. So, a stop there from Dustin Heindel. It looks like that's his last drink there. Remember, some drivers notify us in text chat if they're drinking, some don't. So we can only keep an eye on everyone and see if they're stopping for an extended time out on track. And someone's taking the tighter final corner there. Not sure how much of an advantage that is going to give you. But the battle for the lead is still well and truly on. It looks like Labrosse has taken it back from Roper. And, well, I think I'll call it. Unless Labrosse stops again and notifies us that he's taken a drink, I get the feeling he took his fourth and final drink there after the crash. So it is an out-and-out fight between these two for the lead of the race right to the end.
Yeah, I'd say so. Oh, and a big wiggle there from Roper as well for good measure. But yeah, I'd say it's probably going to be a dogfight between these two to the finish in these final 10 or so minutes.
Oh, once again, drivers having trouble avoiding others as Henk Donk was stopped on the exit of the shortcut, the chute that makes the short layout here, but he wasn't stopped long enough for a drink, so I'm not going to call that as a drink for Donk. So at the moment, looks like 2 for Matthew Hollander, 1 for Donk, and that's the ones that I've seen happen. Everyone else, save for, it looks like Stephen Smalley, has gotten all 4 drinks done. And I'm not too sure what Dylan Scott's status is either, whether or not he has taken any drinks at all. So I haven't seen any big stops happen for him. I actually don't have any marked down for him on my notebook.
Yeah, it's sort of hard to tell if he has actually had any. I think he might have had 1, but I'm not 100% sure on that either.
All right, well, we shall see as... Whoa! There we go. Oh dear. Easy does it. Even Labrosse is now taking to the runoff area of the track to try and keep the lead from AJ Roper, who runs into the back of Zach Taylor coming down the hill towards the final turn. Under 10 minutes remaining, and 4 Drink Fridays at Road Atlanta, and another spin for the number 25. Everyone avoids him for the time being.
I'd say just barely, just managing to only just miss him there was Nobinger. It was very, very close there, but I managed to not end up with a pile of car parts going everywhere.
Indeed. Do my eyes deceive me, or is Corey Godwin going for a 5th drink? Because he just said it's Miller time in text chat for the 5th time there.
I think it may be number 4, and he might have pressed the button 1 too many times in the previous one.
Maybe. Well, what we do know is that Stephen Smalley has just had his 4th drink. So he will move off very shortly there in the number 6. Currently running in 7th spot right now and fighting for the... first car on the lead lap position with John Nobinger, who's just crossed the line with Smalley going straight across the final chicane to get the position made back up potentially. Some big runs through the S's, or well, I don't know if you could really even call it the S's, from Patrick, Scott and Heindel. The gloves are certainly off here. These guys not directly fighting for position. It doesn't look like. Actually, they are. Scott and Heindel, they are racing for 4th place right now as the number 10 of Luke Patrick goes for a huge spin. And Larry Haase slams another drink down. And again, that's the 5th time I've seen that happen for him. So maybe some drivers are just in party mode now.
Yeah, it's quite possible they'll just go, no, we've done all our drinks, just keep on drinking. Wouldn't surprise me at all if they just go, oh, yeah, another one, another one, another one. I'm starting to feel a bit funny now.
Yeah. Oh, boy. It's always a fun time, isn't it? So, the battle between Labrosse and Roper. They are barely separated by anything here, with only 7 minutes left in the running. And... both of them have been driving pretty cleanly since they came together. But we have seen Labrosse take to the runoff area at the chicane once or twice. Really, the most egregious offender has been Roper to make that time back up. But now that he's caught up to Roper, he is driving a little bit more cleanly.
Yeah, there hasn't been so many off-track excursions in the recent few laps, or minutes I should say, so he's been keeping it a bit more clean and a bit more equal and even between the two of them. So it's getting still reasonably close. Lap times aren't too dissimilar, but it'll be interesting to see how it goes in these last couple of minutes. That was very close.
Dear, oh dear, who was that spun there? It was Henk Donk. There's a lot of black flags being cleared. And, you know, I'm looking at my entry screen to look at black flags, and there's always at least a few. The amount of track cuts that we're seeing, Godwin, Haase, Patrick, Scott, Nobinger and Hollander, they all have slowdown penalties to serve as the number 4 of Kip Mitchell goes for a spin. We also see the number 12 of Dustin Heindel stopped on track. So now it's just down to who can really steel their nerves and keep it together for the final 5 minutes of the race. This is one of the first real on-track battles I've seen for the lead in 4 Drink Friday, and it is between two very competitive-looking drivers. Godwin up 2 positions, Dylan Scott up 8 positions, Dustin Heindel up 7. Labrosse and Roper both started on the front row of the grid, and here they are fighting for victory as the number 12 goes for it. And fortunately does not clean up anyone else in the process.
Well, that was very, very close there just before, so very, very lucky to get away with that one was Roper, but it certainly could have gone the other way.
Certainly could have. Well, 4 minutes and 20 seconds to go. And really, the 3 battles on track are for the lead between Labrosse and Roper, for 4th between Nobinger and Scott, and then between Zach Taylor and Larry Haase for 11th spot. Those seem to be the big fights at the moment. It is side by side between Godwin and Smalley. Don't forget they are some distance apart, to the tune of about a lap and a half. Smalley is behind Godwin, but they will try not to get in each other's way too much. That's a big slide, meanwhile, for Matthew Hollander, who turns around Corey Godwin, and that could give an opportunity to Dylan Scott and John Nobinger to, at the very least, get a lap back, or at least make up some time, as the 44 of Nobinger goes for a spin and completely destroys the rear tyres, trying to get back on track.
He nearly held it over the rise too. I was wondering if it was actually going to snap back or not, and it ended up snapping back on him. So nearly held it with a perfect drift, but unfortunately the boards on the judges are going to end up being a 1.
Yes. Oh dear. Okay. Dangerous re-entry. Black flag. Oh no. Who was that? It was Taylor and Hollander coming together right away. It was a massive hit as the number 25 came back on track. It's another bit of a moment for Kip Mitchell as well. I haven't seen any reports here of more drinks from anyone since Larry Haase's last call. So I get the feeling that everyone's on 4 drinks now, and it's just going to be a disaster show until the end, but not for the lead of the race with 2 minutes and 15 seconds to go. Hard on the brakes for 10A and 10B for AJ Roper in his pursuit of Pat Labrosse. And looking at lap times, Labrosse is the one with the advantage. His fastest lap was a full second faster than AJ Roper's, but in terms of last laps, Roper's a little bit closer. Actually, Labrosse lost a bit of time on that particular lap, so I'm calling 2 laps to go here I reckon we're going to see quite the large battle between these two right at the end of the race, and they are right on the bumper. Easy does it there for Roper. Big slide, has to recover and loses all of that time, but he gains it right back with a cut through the S's.
He got very, very crossed up on the way through turn 3 as he cut the curb and then just ended up trying to get back onto the power, but it shows you how worn some of these tyres are. Oh, big impact.
No. Okay, well, we can guess what AJ Roper's going to do down at 10A and 10B thanks to that.
Might as well say the whole entire lap.
Yep. Contact with Luke Patrick there. So as we come across the line here with about 52 seconds to go. Yes, 52 seconds. The white flag is out for Pat LaBrosse, and AJ Roper's still having trouble getting up to speed, so I get the feeling the race might be lost for him. There he is crossing the line just now. LaBrosse is on his way into turn 3, so I don't think even with cutting all the corners, Roper can make up any more time from here.
Yeah, I think it's going to be probably a bit of a struggle to try and catch up to LaBrosse at this point, even if he does cut all the corners he possibly can.
All right, bouncing across the runoff area and slows it down. LaBrosse is making his way out of the very turn that Roper is in now, and I think it's going to be a big cut at the final chicane here for AJ Roper. LaBrosse makes his way out, and there goes Roper, but it's too much, and he goes right into the wall. LaBrosse is going to cross the line and win for Drink Friday at Road Atlanta.
Yeah, Roper just going to bring it home in second, luckily.
Wow. All right, and it looks like a strong third place here for Corey Godwin after starting in 5th. Nice job there. And they are the only cars on the lead lap from what I can see. So we wait for the rest of the finishers to come across the line, and we can officially call that as the celebrations begin. A big kiss between the two friends to celebrate a 1-2 after starting 1 and 2. We're going to go on a very quick break here on the Global SimRacing Channel. When we come back, we'll have results and interviews with a few drivers. For Drink Friday, Road Atlanta with the NASCAR truck. It ended up going to Pat LaBrosse in the end, 4.4 seconds ahead of AJ Roper. The drivers that started first and second finished exactly there. Corey Godwin improving to third from 5th place, with Dustin Heindel coming across the line in 4th spot. Scott manages to cross the line in 5th and is the first car a lap down, joined by John Nobinger, Stephen Smalley and Matthew Hollander, plus Woody 2 laps down, with Kip Mitchell and Luke Patrick rounding out the top 10, 3 and 4 laps down respectively. And then 5 laps down we have our final 3 drivers, Larry Haase, Henk Donk and Zachary Taylor Jr. Wow. What a race it was, and what a drive it was from Pat Labrosse, who joins us in the commentary box now. Pat, that was quite a fun battle between you and AJ, but it did seem like a battle of the clean driver versus the runoff eater.
Well, we've got like a gentleman's agreement that course cuts are just for catching up. So yeah, it was great fun once he got off to the back of me, and we had a good fun battle there. And once I realized that he'd used the course cuts to finish all his drinks, I had to make some moves. But yeah, that was a fun race, and that was really hard to keep that pickup under control.
Yeah, it's a very tough car track combo, isn't it? Twisty track here at Road Atlanta with quite a few big elevation changes and big curbs as well. You combine that with a heavy NASCAR truck with more power than grip, and certainly makes for a wild ride, especially when the alcohol starts to take effect.
Yeah, for sure. It was a bit measured, like I drank off the start and then didn't take my second one until like after the halfway mark. But in the second half, when everybody started doing the course cuts, it started to become a battle of like just trying to anticipate and not get cleaned up by people coming through the chicanes. So yeah, it was good fun. Good laugh for Thanksgiving.
Yeah, absolutely. And I suppose that's the festivities continuing there in terms of Thanksgiving, the festivities for you for your victory here, Pat Labrosse. Thanks very much for joining us. Hopefully we get another chance to chat to you soon.
Thanks, guys.
Pat Labrosse there, winner of the race. And next up, Cam, you've got AJ Roper stood by second place.
Yeah, not a bad race at all. It nearly ended up being a win, but unfortunately P2 in the end for you, AJ.
Yeah, I don't think anybody was going to catch up to Pat there. He definitely deserved this win, man. Congratulations, Pat.
Obviously, reasonably bit of difficulty with these trucks around this technical Road Atlanta circuit. Quite a lot of power, not a lot of grip. And obviously, we saw you using a couple of the Joker laps, I guess you could call them, using them track cuts. But yeah, look, what were your thoughts on the combo? Was it enjoyable? Was it too difficult? Like, give us a rundown.
I definitely enjoyed it. I thought that was a good time. I haven't actually not run any NASCAR vehicles like on road courses, so that was kind of a first for me, but definitely fun. I think the long would have been maybe a better track, and then, you know, that cut there would have kind of worked out for us, but yeah, it was a good time. Definitely like it. It was fun.
Now, you showed you around your drinking. Was it planned originally, or did you just try and wing it along the way and decide, oh, I'll just do 2 here and 2 there?
Yeah, so I think I'm showing up as DD tonight, but definitely was drinking. So I thought I'd rip off the line, and you know, I did a double in the middle, and yeah, no real reason why. Just that's how it worked out.
Oh, it nearly paid off for you, and regardless, a pretty good night overall. And thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next week, hopefully.
Yeah. Thank you so much, guys. Have a great month off, I guess. We'll see you in 4 weeks.
Exactly, we will. AJ Roper there. And finally, we have Corey Godwin, last driver on the podium here, and the third of 4 drivers on the lead lap. Corey, that looked like quite an adventurous race for you in the Corn Hub number 8.
Yes, sir. It was a great race. I would just like to thank, everybody from Four Drink Fridays, GSRC, Corn Hub, my Chevrolet Silverado.
Absolutely. How did you find it out there? I mean, did you come into this expecting it to be a game of dodgems, shall we say?
It was an absolute diamond panning event. It was a handful to handle this car. I feel like it was a great combination put together by Four Drink Fridays, and I just applaud them for that.
Yeah, we certainly applaud them too. Well, congratulations on your podium, Corey, and hopefully we get a chance to chat to you next time.
Yes, sir. I'll see you guys next month.
Absolutely, you will. Corey Godwin, final driver on the podium there. Well, that brings to an end proceedings for tonight, Cam, and, Four Drink Friday is certainly not going to slow down. 4 weeks' time, we have the next one, and I'm not sure exactly where it's at or what the combination's going to be, so it's going to be a nice surprise.
Yeah, it is certainly going to be a nice surprise for everyone involved, and going to be very, very fascinating to see how it goes and how much more fun there's going to be involved. So, yeah, it's going to be very, very exciting, and good times ahead.
Yeah, good times ahead indeed. We want to thank you all for tuning in to the Global SimRacing Channel tonight for this round of 4 Drink Friday. The next race on the GSRC schedule is Grand Prix Legends at Bathurst, so make sure to tune in for that. We want to give special thanks to all of the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast listed here on screen. Also, big thanks to June Lalonde for providing us with her wonderful music. Check out her Bandcamp for more of her great work. We have a full calendar here at GSRC. Upcoming races coming up here on screen, so mark them down in your calendar and make sure to follow us on our socials down at the bottom of the screen. Check out our merchandise store at gsrc.storenvy.com as well. Big thanks for watching. Until then, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.